Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lisa Natoli, and I'm a Course in Miracles teacher and the founder of The Healing Cure. And I'm so excited to be here today on Facebook Live with my dear friend, Dr. Matt Lyon. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, guys.
Out in the desert, are you?
Yep.
So what we're going to do today, it's going to be just a short little talk, and Matt is going to give us a little bit of insight on the session that he is going to be presenting next weekend at the New Beginning World Conference. It's an online event with over 30 teachers, and they are teachers from non-duality, Course in Miracles, science, spirituality. There's musicians. It's just an incredible lineup of teachers. I'm so excited about it. I'm one of the presenters myself. And Matt Lyon, you're an interesting character, and you really are. I mean, you're so interesting to me, and you're so grounded. And so I'm just going to give a little background on you for people who don't know who you are. And
Sure.
I'm also going to talk about the description of your session, and then I'm going to hand it over to you. So Dr. Matt Lyon is a chiropractor doctor. He is an energy healer and a teacher of God. He's been teaching meditation and healing to students for 28 years. When did you start? When you were 5?
Yeah, 16.
Okay, 16. And it says at the age of 16, he experienced a profound and life-changing awakening catalyzed by A Course in Miracles that opened his purpose as a teacher of God and healer. And your session is going to be on Monday, May 25th at 10:15 in the morning. And, oh no, that's a general session. So the general session is you're going to give a brief, the general speakers will give a 5 to 7 minute brief introduction. Your session is Monday morning, May 25th. So not this coming Monday, the following Monday, which is the weekend of the online conference, from 11 a.m. Eastern to 12:30. So it's a 90-minute masterclass. And it's called Elixir, One Doctor's Journey into the Nectar of Healing. And I loved your question here in the description because I can so relate to this. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, with all that I know and all that I have done, I should be further along than I am now?
Yeah.
If you have, you are not alone. And so you're going to be giving 3 talismans to awakening the elixir of healing within you. Yeah. So welcome, Dr. Matt.
Well, so good to be here, Lisa. Thanks. I'm just really grateful and filled with a lot of joy to be talking with you.
Awesome. So what are some of the things? I know a lot of people can relate to that. You know, I know for myself, having had A Course in Miracles since 1992. I mean, that's almost 30 years now. And a lot of my own journey was like, I know the course, I know it front and back. I've taken every other course and listened to every teacher. And how come with all my knowledge, am I still struggling?
You know, it's funny, when I was preparing the talk, or preparing the structure of the talk and the intent of the talk for this amazing conference. And if you're watching on Facebook Live, please join us. I was just reading in the Manual for Teachers before I hopped on this call. And maybe if you don't know, Manual for Teachers is the 3rd part of the Course in Miracles. It just made this beautiful comment paraphrasing that, one person who changes their frequency and begins to emanate peace changes the whole world. And so I hope you'll join us and we can all be those little emanations and emissaries, these pearls of great peace that the world needs right now. When I was doing the talk, I had this funny thought. I was like, the thing that was interesting for me is having had this, big experience at 16 and And by no means saying that does that imply that I had this sort of perfect abiding awakening since then. I'm, really imperfect and wonderfully flawed and a nuanced human being. But in my process, I missed something really profoundly simple. And in fact, when I was putting the talk together, what occurred to me that's really, I think, come alive in me over the last few years is that the truth is so simple. It is so loving and it is so gentle. I actually thought to myself, I don't actually think I have anything to add to this conference. It was interesting. I had all this imposter syndrome stuff come in. So I did one of these really simple practices that the Course teaches us. And in fact, all true teachings throughout all time teach us, is to turn to the inner guide, to turn to the inner teacher. And so in my way, I always talk to Jesus. And sometimes if I need a lot of help, I'll go to his mother, Mary. I said, Jesus, just change my mind. Just change my mind about this. Change my thoughts about this. Just unravel this matrix of unbelief in you and illusion that somehow I'm not enough, and just let the message shine clear. Use me, help me, be me. Let me be an instrument of your peace. There we go, Jesus. And it was so clear to me that the challenge is, it's so hard if you're a wave and you've been told and you've read and you believe that you're not fundamentally wet, right? If you sort of believe, if you're this wave and you sort of believe that you have to go somewhere to get wet, it's so challenging and impossible for the average person to know that they are a peaceful emanation of God, that the light of God is shining in me now. The light of God is shining in me now. It's so interesting how in lessons 200 to 220, the number of times it mentions stillness, peace, and heart. Stillness, peace, and heart. It's really fascinating. And so what happened to me, Lisa, and this, I guess, is hopefully a good answer to your question. I had this amazing experience at 16. I mean, it really it fundamentally rocked my world, changed the way I saw everything. I had a lot of whiz-bang experiences after that, lots of mystical experiences and lights and profound experiences with peace and mind-blowing synchronicities. And really went hardcore into the Course. And then I was drawn over the years to different teachers. And then, of course, went to chiropractic school and studied acupuncture and energy healing. And had all these experiences with these living masters around the world. And all that was really, really great. But it fed a misperception, a fundamental misperception, was that at nowhere along that point was I any more or less whole than I was before I had the awakening. The wholeness, the love, the peace was always there. The peace of God was always shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now. It doesn't say the peace of God is shining in me maybe in 10 minutes. The peace of God is shining in me when I pay $3,000 and go to a luxurious retreat in some world and do the right breathing technique and maybe get that yoga right or maybe get my green juice right. It doesn't say that. The peace of God is shining in me now. And in that stillness, I share it with the whole world. That stillness. And of all the speakers at the conference, we're all really different, but everybody has that theme. There's this nowness and this stillness. Now, for me, I think I had to go through my path of kind of missing that a lot so that I could be an effective spokesperson for those of us that are like, how the bleep do I know all this stuff and know the Course and still struggle? So let me just pause there and just say that, but I wanted to share a personal experience about a health crisis I went through and how that really sort of brought me into hopefully a new level of maturity and embodiment of what I'm speaking about.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear that. I've been taking notes here, which is what I do when somebody's talking. And that's what I hope people do during this conference, like to really come with a notebook, clear the decks for the entire weekend. It is online. It's completely live. There's not a single pre-recorded session. It is totally interactive. So every single session, you'll be able to interact with the teacher and take notes, like really be there. But I love so many things you said, Matt, especially this part about being wonderfully flawed and nuanced human being. Like, because see, to me, that is actually one of the keys where people aren't embracing their wonderfully flawed and nuanced way of being. Like, we have this idea of perfection. But the perfection is the way we are now, without our own judgments about ourselves and without the grievances. The peace of God is shining in me now. So I love what you said.
Can I just say something about that just occurred to me as you were talking? And I just think this is, a talisman is a word I used in that because, well, I have spent a lot of time in the island of Jamaica a lot of my life. And talismans, while they come from many traditions in West Africa, it was something that would be worn by someone not as a magical thing, but as a symbol of remembrance, of truth. And you know what I think is so beautiful about imperfection and about vulnerability is that on this level, that on this level is the invitation into the higher mind, to the Holy Spirit, in my case, to Jesus, to then create this correction that then ripples these energy fields out, even though there is no in and out. This is just my metaphor. The ripples these energy fields out that become the part of what the Course calls the atonement. But if there was no recognition of like, oh my God, I'm having such a hard time. Oh, why do I keep doing this? Why do I have this pain? What is it? That invitation, that little willingness is actually the needed step in this third dimensional plane that invites in this vast, multi-dimensional, beautiful, eternal, infinite love that then weaves and sews up those little like broken threads and creates this beautiful shroud of divinity. And and I think, Lisa, one of the things that was so interesting for me to come to this realization, I had been seeking so hard for things that would make me whole, like many of us. And in the process, it sort of feeds the disease of addiction in a way, because that in itself is an addiction. And I think spiritual addiction can be just as real as any other addiction, And I had this quest for this quote unquote transformation, which would make me quote unquote the best version of myself. And I've just really come to believe that this process of imperfection is so needed in the atonement, that at one-ment, because I don't think it's a transformation we're going for. I think it's a mutation, and there's a big difference. A mutation is a whole different shift. So I'm out here in the New Mexico desert, and we have tons of moths. I use that as an example because they're like butterflies. They start as a caterpillar. The atonement process for them is this insane thing that they do where they get into a cocoon and they melt into a mysterious soup. And inside that soup are what are called imaginal cells. I love that. Imaginal cells that imagine and dream up this whole new mutated possibility of incarnated divinity, in their case, the butterfly. So here I am chasing around, like playing super small, thinking that I've got to do this work and go to this teacher or this thing or that thing. And all along the perfection was there. The peace of God is shining in me now. And in that stillness and in the heart where God resides, there is this magic mutation process. And that's where I think I'm not a body, I'm free, for I'm still as God created me, comes forth so beautifully. So the imperfection is the pathway into the perfect unity of divinity that incarnates through us. And I think...
Yeah, I love the idea of a talisman. This necklace...
Yeah.
People who are in the healing cure know the story, but I bought this necklace about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and I actually had it engraved with a C, and C was for Christ, and it had a whole bunch of other C words: connected, calm, clear, certain, carefree, but the C was to help me.
Coffee.
What? Coffee, cake. But it was going to be a reminder of me to stay in my Christ self.
Yes.
But what happened is immediately, second I left the jewelry store, someone was like, "Oh, I love your necklace. What's the C for?" And I was like, "Oh no, this was only for me." So I went and actually had it unengraved, because I didn't want to have big conversations. It's just my reminder. But I want to just make sure that we hear your health crisis story.
Yeah. Well, I can keep it very simple and very short. So I was a really well-known chiropractor, and we had a really beautiful clinic. And I believe fundamentally that was because, from start to finish, we gave that clinic to the Holy Spirit, and we asked to be used. And I had a certain methodology that combined a lot of energy medicine. The Holy Spirit gives us different gifts, and they're freely given, and they can, whatever serves the greater sonship. For me, there was a lot of intuitive ability, and also I had a lot of scientific ability and was really well trained in a number of different methodologies, and was great with nutrition and functional medicine and linking acupuncture and modern and sort of ancient science. So all that to say, I was really good at helping facilitate healing in bodies. But there was again, this fundamental misperception that I wasn't whole was very pervasive in my life. And I'll fully own that, while I did really good work in the world, I never thought I was enough. I never thought I was enough. And what I was doing was sort of padding over that misperception and the subsequent sense of lack that came from that with, well, I'm doing really good work in the world. Well, I'm really successful. Well, this famous person or this famous actor, or I get flown around the world to do these different things. It was just kind of coding around it. And it was really easy to disguise my own fear. The ego is so subtle, and how it can create all these nice little shiny trappings that just like a moth kept me just going to these other things. And so as a result, I feel that what was really important in my teaching was to have a health crisis. It actually lasted about 3 years, and it was excruciatingly hard. I love in the Manual for Teachers where it talks about these different stages of undoing. And it says something to the effect of, for most people, the undoing will be perceived as very uncomfortable. What was really uncomfortable for me, I lived with life-changing chronic pain. I was training at the Olympic Training Center when I was in my teens as an Olympic hopeful. I'd been a good, living in this body and having a strong body and a flexible body and athletic body was a big part of my ego identity. And then being able to fix bodies was a big part of my ego identity. And sort of proof that I was enough, right? Not that I'm just fundamentally, the peace of God is shining in me now, no matter what. It was when I've done all these things. So it changed my life. I really couldn't do much for 2 years. I just would suck it up and get to, partially because I was so afraid to be seen as sort of a failure as a healer and as a chiropractor and as a doctor, that I really kept it quite secret. And as they say in 12-step programs, we're only sick as our secrets. I started getting help. Then I did your 40-day program. And I remember when someone sensed him, I'm like, Course in Miracles, God. I was like the course guy. Your 40-day program took where I was headed. And we did this 90-degree hard left. And all what happened is like a rapid succession of falling dominoes. The right people came into my life, the right things, and I started to get it. And so I started to receive in the deepest imaginal cells of my own body. So here I am, gone from caterpillar, now I'm in this chrysalis. Those imaginal cells are waking up and being like, hey, what you did there was cool, but now you need to surrender this whole process to the Holy Spirit even more completely, so that you may be fundamentally and utterly transformed into the nature of the divine. That's it. And it may not be what the specialness you think it's supposed to be. It may not be that. It's going to be simple, but you need to let go and give up completely. So that was my health crisis. I spent $40,000 US on different doctors and diagnosticians, and really through the principles of A Course in Miracles applied in an even more simple way, my body changed. And I'll just tell you, it's not about the physical change. It's so interesting. Corinne Zupko, one of my best friends, we just had this most amazing conversation. And I said, oh my God, Corinne, I'm having imposter syndrome. Can I just run my ideas about this talk by you? And she's like, you totally got it. And I was telling her what was so interesting about where I am now is how my physical body has transformed so much since I've gone through this. It's really interesting. Light and vibration is the whole movement and course of flow of this whole universe. It's information and energy. And when we're in alignment with the peace of God shining in me now, I will let my thoughts be still. I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me. It has a physical effect. But I didn't have to go chase it in an expensive seminar somewhere. All minds are joined. That's what's so cool about this conference, is it's a facsimile of the fact that we're all virtually joined anywhere. I have no private thoughts. So it changed me. Now I lift, massive kettlebells, and I do these Russian strength training programs. And every time I do it, I just thank God for letting me be an emissary of light. It's not about the physical thing for me. So that was the health crisis that transmuted into a symbol for me of, I guess, becoming a bit more of my butterfly self.
I love it. And I'm so happy that you were here today, and I'm definitely going to be in your class. And so it's Monday, May 25th at 11 a.m. I want to just let everyone know who's watching is that there are keynote presenters, and those basically are standalone, and everyone who signs up for the conference can go and watch one of the keynote presenters. The rest of the presenters all have maybe 5 different choices that one can make. So you on Monday morning, Matt, will have some other teachers who are also going to be presenting at the time. The great thing about this conference, everyone gets recordings of the whole thing. So if you can't be in one of the live sessions, you still will get all the recordings for every single teacher. I'm going to be in your class Monday morning. I can't wait to hear it. And I just want to thank you for being here, for, you're expressing so many of the things I know many of us feel, the imposter syndrome, just letting the old story go. And so it's going to be a great class.
Yeah, I'm so excited and so grateful to be a part of it. And it's such a blessing in this time that we can come together in this way. And, if you're on Facebook and you're watching, the depth of embodiment of all the teachers is so beautiful. And it's like the whole conference is like a diamond, because each speaker is this different facet that has its own fragrance and flavor, and yet they're all just these reflections into this pure light of God.
Exactly.
So I'm really excited to be here and love you and Bill so much.
We love you. So I wanted to just tell everyone, for more information about Dr. Matt Lyon, you can go to diamondheartdojo.com. And for the conference, it is purepresenceproductions.com. And if you are joining because of Dr. Matt, please join through his link. And I'm sure that's on your website. And if it's not, I'm sure you'll put it there. But I love you. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.